Hi YouTube. So I've been getting this request for this video for quite some time, and I've been telling you guys I'm going to make it. So you can probably tell by the title what I'm making. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background in eating disorders. Then I'm also going to tell you why I'm deciding to really get help, and then what I'm doing to get help, basically. So, background. Start back when I was 16, so about 4 years ago. I started talking to people in the fitness industry, and I knew I wanted to lose weight, and so I immediately went into that restrictive mindset and clean eating and lots of cardio and blah, 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 blah. And that actually spiraled into me being extremely afraid of food. Like, extremely. I started probably the eating pattern in January-ish. I didn't have my first cheat meal until my birthday on April 25th. And during that time, I was probably eating about 700 calories. I lost about 40 pounds, and I was extremely sick and little and just not healthy at all. That just kept going further and further, and I actually brought myself out of that back probably, if you fast forward like the end of the year. And then I started reverse dieting because that's when all of Lane Norton's videos were really big. And I found his videos and I started doing that. And I got up to a pretty solid weight, probably like 135. And at my lowest, I was 110. Then I started the binging cycles. And that is where I basically am today still. I reverse dieted slightly, and then I immediately said I was going to start cutting for a figure competition. So I did that in 2014, and right after that, when I was trying to kind of reverse diet, and then I didn't want to reverse diet, so I actually started binging and actually developed bulimia, which I still have not told many people about because I was very embarrassed. My family didn't even know until I told them probably a couple months ago, maybe. Like, no one really knew. That went on from, say it was middle of 2014 to the middle of 2015. So for about a year, and I was actually at college when I decided to stop. But the problem was that the binges kept happening. But I thought to be able to control them, I should start another prep. So, as soon as I start another prep, then I can control my binges and save them for cheat days. So, when I was cutting for that, I would go really hard during the week and have one day and go absolutely insane. I would literally start at midnight, and then I would just go until I couldn't eat anymore, until like midnight the next day. And then I'd restrict. And that's really the cycle I've been on since then. But the thing is, when you binge eat, you are eating so many calories that in order to be losing weight, like on a prep, you have to be extremely low. So when I started my prep, like, I think I started in May 2015 last year. I set my calories at 1,200 for the beginning of my prep. I would have my binges on weekends. I got to about 900 calories at the end of prep, and it was awful. And so after my 2 bikini shows, I reverse dieted slightly, and then I kind of actually did stop tracking for a while. I would still have like binge days. Like, I wasn't truly intuitive eating. I would eat like what semi like I knew what was in the foods during the week, and on the weekends I would be like, do whatever you want type thing. The beginning of this year, when I said I'm gonna start cutting and I'm going to do another show. So I started cutting, and those binges kept happening every single week. So that's really how my binges are. Some people have emotional binges, and mine have always been almost planned. The beginning of this last prep that I started, I was still having them, but I actually started on 1,300 calories to start for this prep. So much better, right? Then you guys kind of know the reason why I stopped competing. If you don't know that reason, I have a whole video on it, so you can go watch that. I'm kind of at the point where I loved it for the first few shows that I did, and my heart is just like, this is not what I want anymore. And when I realized that is when I started to realize that I don't want this part of me anymore. Like, I don't want to have this constant struggle with food. And I finally was like, well, why can't I just eat? Like, why can't, if I want to have pizza, why can't I go have it? And if I want, like, milkshakes or freaking chicken nuggets, like, I don't care. If I want it, why can't I go get it? Well, Kelsey, it's because you're only restricting to 1,400 calories, which I was on. I was on 1,400 calories when I started my therapy. So I don't want to eat something too calorically dense, because then I'll be hungry later and blah, 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 blah. I went through a really, really hard time, like about a few weeks ago is when my anxiety, my depression, everything was spiking. And this adding on top of it, I was like, this is probably one of the main causes of my depression. And then my anxiety is a lot of food anxiety. So I decided I was going to go see a cognitive behavioral therapist, and she specializes in eating disorders. So I started with her 4 weeks ago now, and I'm just going to explain to you kind of what I've done so far. When we first started, obviously we had to take like a couple sessions for her to get to know me. I see her twice a week, and the very first thing that we did was dig down and find my absolute fear. Why won't I let go of my binges? Why won't you just up your calories and eat more? Why won't you let go of tracking? And honestly, it's because I fear gaining weight. I do not want to be heavier than I am right now. I think this is like a body that I can learn to love, and I want to maintain this. And I'm saying learn to love because right now what I'm doing, I'm not loving my body. So maybe like physically I have days where I'm like, wow, like I love this. Like this is so nice. But other days it's just the complete opposite. So because of that, we have a whole chart right here. So because I fear becoming fat, this is what I do. And it says restricting amount of caloric intake, avoiding calorically dense foods, and then I delay my eating and use caffeine, energy drinks, and gum to like make up for when I'm hungry. And all true. Like delayed eating was something she's like, well, we can fix this easy. And so from when we go to the restriction phase, it leads me to, if I eat an avoided food, I overeat that food and then I binge. It's kind of hard to explain. So like sometimes on the weekends, I never binge on the weekdays, which is very odd, but I just don't. There's something in my head that says like weekends are for whatever. And it typically starts by me eating a food that I can't track or that I consider too calorically dense for me to try and stay on track. And then so I'll just be like, okay, well, I'll eat a lot of it. And then I keep eating and eating and eating, and it doesn't stop. And where I think this is really stemming from is the idea I've had for years and years now is that you get one cheat day or one cheat meal a week. And I think that's been just engraved in my head for so long that it's just becoming like it's basically what my eating disorder turned into. And then things that we went over right away, which was very interesting, are like secondary effects of undereating. The things that I experienced were preoccupied with thoughts of food. That's all I think about in the day. Can I weigh this? Do I have to pack my meals with me? What am I eating next? Did I track all that? Did I track out my day? Decreased energy. I nap every single day. I'm so exhausted that I have to take an hour nap every day. Decreased concentration. That is kind of what I took as prep brain. And it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot more in that, but you guys know what I mean. Hangry. Yes, of course. Of course I was hangry. I'm eating 1,400 calories. It's not a lot. Rigid in routines, and you have social withdrawal. Yeah. So that's probably the one that's the most, is that I say I'm very type A, but she told me that I may not even be type A. That just may be my eating disorder making me type A. So it was just very interesting to hear, and it makes sense to me. Like, I totally know. I'm aware that I have a restrict binge cycle. If you listen to Kelly UFit, she talks about how I believe it was her therapist or maybe her dietitian labeled her as a restrictor. And that is what basically she told me as well, is that you are a restrictor. You restrict, and that's what leads to your binges. So what we started on was something called real-time self-monitoring. And it means that every single day I have to log what I eat, and then I log the place I eat. I log if it caused me any distress, so if I felt guilty about it, if I vomited after it, and then how I felt, the context, just general comments. So I'll just bring out a log for you guys. 6 a.m. I had coffee. There's a big R there because that says risk factor, because I worked out and then I didn't eat until 11:30. And then after 11:30, I ate 2 hours later, I ate oats. And then I ate a couple hours later, I ate chicken and egg whites. And then I didn't eat again until 10 at night, where I had an apple, a yogurt, and an Oreo. And then I said that was anxious. I didn't do this very well that day, obviously. I did counter, gym, counter. That would have been counter. That would have been counter. And that would have been my bed. Now, I'll find you one that looks a little more recent, because the thing she first changed, which I told you guys that she thought was the easiest, was my intermittent fasting or delayed eating. So, this is a good example. I planned it out over here. I was anxious because this was my first day doing it. And I had Greek yogurt and a cup of fruit right away at 8, which was so weird for me. Then went on to breakfast, and I'm required to eat every 3 to 4 hours. So that was also something I was not doing. I am also reading this book, which has been really helpful because there's a lot of things in here that I'm like, whoa, that's me. Like right here, I have this thing highlighted. It says, experience has taught them that their binges are inevitable, so they no longer try to resist them. Some even plan ahead for what they see as unavoidable binges. So, like, yes, that makes so much sense to me. Like, yes, I plan ahead. It showed actually a vlog that I do of a girl who, on her binge day, and I have one from one of my binge days. I had to do it. And that's the thing that I thought was going to be, or like make it so I wouldn't binge. And I was sitting there before it because I knew I had to sit there with this. I sit with this folder everywhere. And I'm like, I have to start writing when I start binging. Like, I have to write this down. And so, but it happened, and I wrote down everything. So, I had coffee in the morning, and then I didn't eat till 11. Then I had a bunch of gum. And then, starting at 2:30, I had pumpkin spice dip, cinnamon chips, Oreos, candied pecans. That went to 3 servings of baked mac and cheese and Brussels sprouts. And I also had cornbread. I had 3 cookies. I had 2 pints of ice cream and a protein bar. So that is what that looks like. And I wrote all of the stuff on the side of what I felt. And I really don't have any emotion. Like, mine is really not caused by emotion, but during it, I really don't know what I'm doing. I've had binges where I come out and I'm like, what did I eat? Because I do try to track them. I try to actually put them in my fitness pal to see how many calories I ate, which sounds so freaking messed up. But so I'll be sitting there and I'm like, what did I eat? Then I'll be like, oh my God, like 20 minutes later, I'll be like, oh my God, and I ate that, and I ate that. And it's like, which sucks. For people who don't experience this, you are the luckiest person. And I know you probably don't understand what I'm going through or what I'm even talking about, or how, like, can't even imagine what these experiences are like, but it's so uncontrollable. And I so wish I was you who doesn't have to deal with it. Oh my God, it just has taken over my life. So the thing that caused me to be very distressed this weekend is that she started last week having me write down on these pieces of paper the day before every single meal I'm going to have, at what time, in what amount. So I saw her on Thursday and she said, the weekend starts tomorrow. She said, and we're going to plan every single meal until Sunday. And I sat there like, my life doesn't work that way. Said, I'm only allowing you to eat 2,000 calories each day of the weekend, so you won't binge. And this is what I had the hardest thing with. I feel more restricted that way. I haven't had the chance to talk to her like about this yet, because all this kind of really happened after I got home and realized that like I can't do it. I feel like I'm restricting even more, and that makes me want to binge more. So her telling me I can only have 2,000 calories is like, well, watch me. And it's weird because it's like, okay, she wants me to jump up and eat 2,000 calories every single day, and I'm not ready to be there yet. We've officially bumped up my calories and I'm at 1,500. I'm bumping them up very slowly. I tell her I can't eat 2,000 during the week, but then when she gives me 2,000 as a limit during the weekend, I say that's not enough. So I see where she's coming from, I do. But I also, like, mentally, my mind says that doesn't make sense. Like, and then we planned out all my meals. And when I got home, today is Friday, we were talking about going out to eat tonight. And I'm like, well, am I supposed to bring Tupperware? Like, I'm in prep again? I had some very deep, long conversations with 2 individuals. One would be Ari D'Antone and the other would be Kendall Reed. And they are amazing. Seriously, they sit and they listen to me. Like, I just spew stuff. I seriously just say things, and they have the best advice in the entire world for this. So if any of you are struggling, seriously, they are the best. And I talked to them, and it finally made me realize I'm not going to get better if I still have my fitness pal on my phone. If I'm tracking, it's not going to happen. So my mind is kind of at the place where I'm like, well, should I just delete the stupid app? And then should I just try to incorporate foods I normally wouldn't every day? Okay, binges are going to be inevitable. They're going to happen, especially in this beginning stages. But I have a feeling that after these foods become normalized, that everything's just going to get better. And that's what I hear that happens to a lot of people, but like that's my hope. Like seriously, I'm praying and praying that's what's going to happen. But my mind is telling me otherwise. My mind is like, no, you're going to keep binging forever. Like that's what you want. And so when I told her, I actually told her this, and she said, "Why do you want to keep binging?" And that's kind of when I was like, "You're right, I do, but why?" And I sat there and she's like, "You like your binges, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah. Honestly, I do. I like them and I hate them. A source of comfort for me and something that I don't want to let go of." And hearing that from someone else and hearing myself say that is so strange because my overall consensus about today is that I'm going to go out to dinner with my family. I'm going to order one meal. And when I come home, I may have a small dessert and then I'm going to bed. I know this is all over the place and a lot of it probably doesn't make sense to you guys right now. I'm going to try to make these more structured as I do them in the future because so many things are going to change. I think I'm going to go into her on Tuesday and tell her I want to stop tracking. Can we do this without me tracking? Because ultimately she wants me to stop tracking, but right now the way my program is worked is around me. What she wants me to do is figure in little bits of my binge foods into every day. So she wants me to eat like a piece of pizza with a salad randomly on a Wednesday. And then she wants me to go eat a donut for breakfast with like eggs or something. But that's how If It Fits Your Macros works in my mind. And I've done If It Fits Your Macros for so long. But that's still restriction again. So, and it's just so confusing. And I'm scared. I'm very nervous. Kind of at the point where I'm very vulnerable, I guess you could say. I want to be able to try to freaking listen to my hunger cues. That's all I want to do. Like, that's what I want to know. It's just so much, like, so much easier said than done. And I love being a part of the fitness industry. I do. Like, having so much support from social media it's actually what made me make this video, is that I put this out there on Twitter and that I was like I was really scared. And all these people were giving me so much support. And it gave me the courage to get on camera and talk to you guys for over 40 minutes. But I do want to document this because, like, right here, I want to look back right here in a year and be like, wow, I didn't know what was coming for me. I didn't know that God had a totally different plan and he took me and he helped me recover, and I am so strong now and I love my body and everything's going to be better, and I know it. I think I'm going to stop this here now. I need to stop rambling. If you guys have any questions about what I'm doing in treatment, if you have any questions about whatever, my past, whatever, I don't care. If you have any questions at all, leave them below. Treatment is early, so we don't have many changes happening right now, just small changes. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you did watch, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed me actually like speaking out about this, please tell me. I love you guys.